Good evening and thank you for joining us. Thunder Bay's new city council will meet tonight, and for the first time there are decisions on the agenda.
That includes whether or not to hold off on stop-arm cameras for local school buses. The cameras are meant to catch drivers who pass school buses that had their arms extended and lights flashing. Administration is saying it's not feasible at this point, as the province hasn't centralized ticket processing for the offense, with a lack of police resources mentioned as well. Councillor Kristen Oliver championed the stop-arm cameras and believes the province is not providing municipalities the tools to implement this program.
Disappointed, obviously, and I'm frustrated. I think administration really did try to cover off every opportunity they could to see this move forward. I think what I find really frustrating is that the province has put this as an opportunity for municipalities to engage and create safer opportunities for kids to get to school, but they're not, working collaboratively to have a processing center implemented so that we could see this come to fruition.
Oliver says she'll be bringing a motion forward tonight to lobby the province on the issue.
December 22nd will mark 1 year since the fire that destroyed the Finnish Labour Temple. Building owner Brad McKinnon had promised to rebuild the historic structure, and now, less than 12 months later, the foundations for the new Finlandia project are complete. Construction crews are now fortifying the substructure before putting up walls in the spring. Jessica Clement has the details.
This was the depressing scene along Bay Street nearly 1 year ago, and the day after the fire, Finnish Labour Temple owner Brad McKinnon made this pledge to the community.
We're not going to let this stop us or get us down. We'll tear it down, we'll rebuild, and we'll try and restore the building, bring it back to what it was, if at all possible.
Construction crews have been steadily working on making that happen over the past 10 months and have now installed the foundation for Phase 1 of the project. That stage includes recreating the front half of the Finnish Labour Temple with a new Hoito restaurant on the main floor. Phase 1 will also include ground-level commercial retailers and restaurants that will face Bay and Algoma streets. McKinnon talks about their next steps.
Just trying to get this place, hoarded in for the winter and heat in the basement. Obviously, Thunder Bay winters get very cold and we don't want our foundation freezing. After that, when the weather improves, move on to the framing of the building.
They won't be moving on to Phase 2, which will include an underground car park until Phase 1's frames are completed. McKinnon says he'd like to have a strict timeline and be able to meet those deadlines, but it's a difficult thing to do in this economy.
Today's situation with available labor and material shortages and those sorts of things. Are we on time? I'd like to be a little bit further ahead, but I think we've accomplished a lot when you consider the building burnt down December 22nd of last year. So I think in 1 year's time, almost, we've done quite well.
McKinnon adds that it's a bittersweet project to be working on.
But obviously, losing the original structure, the original building, all the hard work that was put into it, that still bites even a year later. It still hurts because there's a lot of, time and energy and, dedication put into rebuilding the original Hoito. So it's unfortunate that it's not here anymore, but we have to deal with what we have, and I think the new structure is going to be fantastic when it's completed.
The new Finlandia project is estimated to cost somewhere between $25 and $27 million. But time will tell if the phases can be completed by McKinnon's original 2024 estimate. Jessica Clement, TVT News.
The emergency department at the Wilson Memorial General Hospital in Marathon was shut down for about 10 hours yesterday due to the unexpected absence of one nurse. Fortunately, there were no severe emergent cases over that period, but hospital officials are concerned that ongoing staffing challenges could still impact patient care.
Every day we are really honestly on a knife edge with regards to one sick call may put us over the edge, and in particular on weekends when we have less staff available.
The ER closure was in place between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. Sunday, although they were prepared to redirect patients to the nearest ERs located 1 hour away. Hospital CEO Adam Brown says the few emergency patients that came in had relatively minor issues and were able to wait for the ER to reopen. Brown is relieved there was no serious impacts and grateful for the patience and understanding of the community. But he says he's taking responsibility for keeping the ER open.
We need to find solutions and working hard to find solutions and working with all of our partners, including the good folks at Ontario Health and our Ontario Hospital Association and Ministry of Health to try to resolve this long-term sustainability issue. So this is presented as a short-term crisis, but the reality is this is a long-term crisis, and there's no simple short-term solution. That it's just not. You can't create registered nurses overnight. That it takes 4 years of schooling at least.
Brown says the hospital is working with all its partners to find solutions to the issue. But in the meantime, staffing at the Marathon Hospital remains precarious. He says it's much too early to tell whether the court striking down of Bill 124 will improve matters, but feels the wage cap legislation is not helping in retaining or recruiting staff.
A huge sigh of relief for parents as a simmering labor dispute is now over. CUPE education workers have voted to ratify a deal with the province. Siobhan Morris has the details.
After months of negotiation, legislation to impose a contract, and a 2-day walkout, it's over. CUPE's educational workers have voted in support of a new contract.
We shook this province with our protests. We showed Ontarians that you can stand up to a bully for what is just and right. And we ended up with a deal that more than doubled the wage increase that the government tried to force upon us.
About 76% of CUPE members cast ballots. 73% of them said yes. Among them, Walton, who had pointed out shortcomings of the deal.
73 is a bit higher than I expected. I thought it might be a bit tighter, but I think it also goes to show that for me, myself, in my 20 years, I've never had $1 a year raise.
The government sees this as a win.
We are so pleased we were able to reach an agreement that has now been overwhelmingly ratified by the members that keeps kids in the classroom.
Walton says those who rejected the deal weren't satisfied with commitments to improve in-school services.
And now what we need to do is hold that momentum and be pushing this government to do what is right, which is invest in public education.
In a downtown Toronto hotel, that push is still happening in bargaining. That's true for the union representing public high school teachers and more than 20,000 educational support workers.
We are nowhere near having a deal, but we continue to be at the table and talking to the other side.
These unions have decided on media blackouts, keeping the back and forth of negotiations private.
So that we can have open conversations at the table. We do have to think about the cost of living skyrocketing and the fact that 1% from Bill 124 really has meant that a lot of people needed a second or third job to get by.
The union speaking for Catholic teachers is trying to reach a contract
that is fair and that supports students. And that we'll be able to do that through good old-fashioned, bargaining.
Not through legislation.
The government has been very clear. We are going to negotiate.
And not bring forward a bill like Bill 28 again.
The Ontario NDP is tabling a bill to make the province's top doctor an independent officer of the legislature. Ontario is the only province where the Chief Medical Officer of Health is accountable to the Minister of Health and the Legislative Assembly. The Public Health Accountability Act was brought forward by NDP health critic France Gélinas and the MPP for Parkdale High Park. If passed, the bill would also strike a select committee in the event of a public health emergency.
We're now just hours away from the nomination deadline for the leadership of Ontario's New Democrats, and a well-known figure in the Northwest has opted not to take a run at the position. Kiiwetinoong MPP Sol Mamakwa has been encouraged to put his name forward, but he says his priorities are elsewhere right now. In a Twitter post, Mamakwa stated, quote, "Leadership for me is a very serious consideration, and my top priority is to continue being a voice for Kiiwetinoong and First Nations people across Ontario." Mamakwa currently serves as one of the party's deputy leaders and has represented Kiiwetinoong since the riding was formed in 2018. As of this afternoon, Davenport MPP Merritt Stiles is the only candidate who's put their name forward for the leadership role. If no one else announces their candidacy by midnight tonight, Stiles will assume the position as leader of the Ontario New Democrats.
Local NDP member Lise Bourgeois blasted the Ford government today over the recent decision to award a major subway project to a Japanese consortium. On Friday, it was revealed that the $9 billion Ontario Line contract was awarded to Hitachi instead of a bidding group which included the local Alstom railcard plant.
Last year, the Premier promised workers at the Alstom plant in Thunder Bay, "We will make sure anything bought in Ontario should be produced in Ontario." But this government secretly lowered the Canadian content rules for the Ontario Line from 25% to 10%. The Ontario Line contract went to a Japanese consortium, and $2.3 billion worth of subway car manufacturing jobs are leaving the province. Why did the Premier break his promise to Thunder Bay workers and send their jobs overseas?
In the last 3 years alone, Mr. Speaker, our government has invested almost $500 million to support Thunder Bay workers at the Alstom plant. We currently have 9 open contracts with Alstom for projects across the province. We've recently ordered 60 new streetcars and refurbishment of 94 GO Train coaches to maintain 300 good manufacturing jobs at the Alstom facility.
Meanwhile, the PC MPP for Thunder Bay Atikokan also spoke at Queen's Park today about the future palladium copper mine near Marathon. Kevin Holland asked his government about the decision to approve the environmental assessment for the proposed mine.
This critical mineral project will bring job opportunities and secure Ontario's future as a leader in the generation of clean, sustainable electric vehicles. While we hear from the opposition that our government does little to protect the environment, it is evident that our government's actions demonstrate environmentally responsible leadership. Speaker, can the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks please explain how this environmental assessment approval will support Northwestern Ontario?
Speaker, there is no net zero without mining. In the north, the corridor to prosperity means the critical minerals we need to reduce our dependency on fossil fuels. Just this past week, I approved, with my powers under the Environmental Assessment Act, Generation PGM's Marathon Mine project. This approval is a guarantee that this vital project will go forward for the people of Northern Ontario.
A new scenic 410-acre nature reserve is being established south of Thunder Bay. The property in the municipality of Nebine was purchased by the Thunder Bay Field Naturalists and overlooks Lake Superior near Sturgeon Bay. It'll be called the Ward Lake Nature Reserve, and it's a prime habitat for peregrine falcons and eagles. The area features 2 lakes and rugged cliffs, which were actually the first release site for the falcons when they were introduced to the area in 1989. Under the protection of the Field Naturalist, the reserve will be accessible for hikers, while hunting and motorized vehicles will be banned. The Field Naturalists had to pull money from other projects to finance this purchase, so they're now asking for donations from the public on their website or Facebook page to help replenish these funds.
Confederation College's annual Stock the Bank was a huge success this year, raising more than $40,000. That money will support the Emergency Student Fund, the food bank, community charities, and other initiatives at the college. The Children's Choir from Applause Musical Theatre kicked off today's event with some Christmas carols. Officials then announced the totals for this year's Stock the Bank. More than $30,000 will go to support Confederation College initiatives and other community charities, and $7,300 will support the college's Emergency Student Fund, which includes the food bank. In addition to money, nearly 9,000 food items were collected to fill the shelves of the school's food bank for students in need. College President Kathleen Lynch says that's especially important during the holidays.
It's a tough time of year for students. It's coming on Christmas and people do work part-time. They're trying to make ends meet, but as we know, prices are increasing. It's hard and students need our support to be able to manage, and we're happy to give it.
We've seen departments increase their giving. who haven't really been players in the game before. So all sorts of internal fundraisers, little campaigns going on, challenges interdepartmentally, and folks are really doing their best to do their best for our students.
Over the past 15 years, Stock the Bank has raised more than $215,000 and collected more than 90,000 food items. McDonald didn't want to spoil the details, but he did say the competitive aspect of Stock the Bank will see some exciting new additions next year.
Thunder Bay skiers and snowboarders can now hit the slopes on the south side of the city after Loch Lomond opened a portion of their ski hill this past weekend. Jess Clement has the story.
Loch Lomond was packed for their opening weekend, and it was all smiles on the slopes as skiers and snowboarders who were itching to get outside could finally visit Loch Lomond again. Only the south side of the ski area was open, but that didn't stop skiers from going down the hills time and time again. We spoke to some skiers who said they've been waiting all year to be back.
Super excited and really happy for a wonderful season ahead, I hope.
If I had to rate my excitement when I woke up this morning, it would probably have been a 10.
We're pretty excited. We've been waiting for this all year. Perfect conditions. Couldn't be any more happier.
Yeah, I'm super excited. This is like the happiest place on the planet. We've been waiting all year.
Currently, only the Snoopy and Sun Bowl are open, but Loch Lomond's guest services supervisor, Laura Woodbeck, says she is hoping the rest of the south side will be open by next weekend, followed by the north side the week after that.
Next weekend, we're hoping for the full south side to be opened. Given good temperatures and a lot of good snowmaking, we'll have the full south side ready and operational.
And do you know when you'll have the north side?
Again, fingers crossed for the 16th of December, we'll have the full hill up and running.
Woodbeck thinks this will be one of the best years for Loch Lomond. She adds that skiers can stay updated on dates through their social websites.
Regarding the hours for next weekend, please keep updated on social media as it will be posted daily. We're looking forward to seeing everyone out.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, Fiona, it's good to see the skiers and snowboarders out there smiling and having fun. Will they have reason to continue to smile over the coming few days?
Well, if they like cold weather, yeah, they'll probably enjoy it quite a bit. But actually, I had a lot of people come to me today saying what a beautiful start it was to the work week temperature-wise. It was cool. It stayed below the freezing mark, but not too far off from the norm for this time of year. We had a low of -12, wind chills of -16, a high of -4, although the wind chills continue to hover closer to -12. And that's because the winds kicked up this afternoon. There was a little bit of light snow showers and a little bit of blowing snow throughout. But an interesting mix of conditions throughout the region. Fort Frances saw their temperatures drop steadily since last night. They're currently at one of the lows for the day, -17, and a wind chill of -24. As you head further north, much colder. Red Lake has held their temperatures pretty consistent for most of the day. They're currently at -23, but the wind chills for the last 8 hours or so have been hovering between -30 and -33. It is very chilly to the northwest. As you head further east, a little bit warmer as you head into the Greenstone region. They did have some light snow showers throughout the day. They're currently at -17 and a wind chill of -22. Marathon quite a bit milder at -10. And Sault Ste. Marie has stayed on the plus side since before midnight last night. They have yet to drop into the negative numbers. And that's despite mostly cloudy skies throughout the day. Now, we have concerns for the extreme cold, and the majority of it is to the northern portions of our region. So we're talking everything north of Kenora, Dryden, Atikokan, and Superior North. Unfortunately, those extreme cold conditions means wind chills of -35 to -40. Thunder Bay, not part of that group, fortunately, but it is going to be much colder tonight, -21 and a wind chill of -25. And the next couple of days are going to be a lot more chilly, not in the extreme range, but quite cool. However, if you can wait a few days, the weekend is going to warm back up. I'll have more details later on in the news hour.
Okay, so good snow temperature making conditions over the next few days, and then they get a chance to go out there and enjoy it over the
Yes,
weekend.
the glass is half full. always.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Fiona. Well, unfortunately, we can't say the same about our next story. We've been talking for months about the cost of food, some items up about 10% or more over last year. And unfortunately, the latest projections show more bad news on that front in 2023. We'll have the details as your Monday News Hour continues.
We showed Ontarians that you can stand up to a bully for what is just and right.